Alright, so I'm Nick Adler, and I'm going to be presenting Explosions 4, Age of Explosions, directed, of course, by the lovely Michael Bay. Yes, that's on every slide. So we all like movies, right? You can nod your heads. Yeah. You do. Well, I don't just like movies, I love movies. But recently, I've noticed a little bit of a problem in the industry. And judging by the results of the survey that I had you guys fill out, most of you agree with that. But why should you care? I mean, movies are just mindless entertainment, right? They're just things, places we go to escape from our everyday lives. I think a lot of people probably imagine something like this, Arnold Schwarzenegger's Commando. But that's not really true. Movies can be so much more than just mindless entertainment. Movies can be art. Movies can be political. Movies can teach us things about ourselves. And more than anything else, movies represent our culture, like Chinatown, which most critics agree perfectly captured the culture in the style of 1970s Los Angeles. So the problem. So this is taken from Wikipedia. It's the highest grossing films of all time. And in case you can't see it, and it's unadjusted for inflation, we have some titles like Avatar, we have The Avengers, Harry Potter, Iron Man 3, a couple Transformers movies, the Dark Knight trilogy, The Hobbit, Star Wars, movies like that. And once you hear those titles, I think a lot of us probably start to notice a pattern there. And that's that most of these movies are these huge blockbuster action franchises. Most of the time, most of these movies are either prequels or sequels of some kind. And there's nothing wrong with most of these movies per se, but for lack of a better word, they're formulaic. A lot of them, you reuse same plot elements, special effects, things like that. And it gets a bit boring after a while, repetitive. And I'd like to address that. So, what's caused this problem? There's a couple things. First of all, there were antitrust laws put in place by the government to break up the monopoly that a few companies had over the movie industry, and so that's really impacted a number of movies that companies can make. And then also the advent of streaming services such as Netflix and iTunes, which make it much easier for people to watch movies at their homes, and cheaper as well. So, a lot of people think, why would I go to a theater and see a movie when I can just do the same thing at my house? And that's a problem, though, because what's happened is because we don't see as many movies in theaters, the movie studios can't afford to produce as many movies as they used to. So I believe the average now is about 12 movies that most studios produce every year. And so because they are making far fewer movies, they have to try to make each movie appeal to as many people as possible. And one of the ways they do that is by having these huge overinflated budgets for all of these movies, packing it full of as many special effects, jokes, and things like that as possible. And that might not seem like such a problem because it seems like, what do these movies have to lose? They have just these barrels of money lying around that they can just throw at, any movies they want. But the truth is, these movie studios are actually at a lot more risk than you might think. And a quote is, even the largest movie studio, if it suffered 6 major flops in a row, would go belly up at this point. And so what you have to realize is that every movie, every major movie anyway, that these studios are producing represents a significant financial risk or gamble. And so because of that, they have to use the things, like I said, they have to, they can't really take risks with their movies, essentially. So one studio that's kind of infamous for this is Marvel. Now, I love Marvel. I love all their movies. Guardians of the Galaxy last year was a great movie. But they're kind of infamous for their formula that they use, which is kind of the blend of action and comedy, the plot devices that they use. That's pretty much in all of their movies. And because of that, it makes their movies all seem very similar. Perhaps not on the first viewing, but if you've seen all their movies as many times as I have, you really start to notice how repetitive they get. Yeah. And then the other thing that I would like to point your attention to is, of course, Transformers: Age of Extinction, which I had the misfortune of seeing last year. It sucked. It was a terrible movie. And Michael Bay, who's the director of the Transformers trilogy, or the Transformers saga, if you didn't know, he and the Transformers movies really, I think, exemplify the idea of appealing to the lowest common denominator, which is what most of these studios do. And they essentially, most of these movies do the same kinds of things. They overuse special effects, explosions. Michael Bay's famous for his explosions. And strange kind of sophomore humor as well, to try to appeal to as large of an audience as possible. And so, just to show an example of this, I have a short clip for you to watch.
The 17-year-old girl. How old are you?
20. She's a minor. We're protected by the Romeo and Juliet laws.
We dated for a little while. I was a sophomore and he was a senior. It's fine.
No, it's not fine.
We've got a pre-existing juvenile foundational relationship. Statute 2705-3.
You know me.
You can stop it. Alright, so that was actually in the movie, believe it or not. A strange statutory rape joke that apparently Michael Bay thought was funny. But, you know, as Mark Wahlberg's character said, it's really not fine, I don't think. That's the kind of thing we want us to be, you know, representing our movies abroad, representing our culture. I don't think so. I hope that everyone that laughed, it was kind of a nervous laugh instead of actually thinking that was funny. I would hope so anyway. And so, there we go. So, I think the question we're all asking now is, what can we really do about this? And a lot of us might think, you know, we don't have really much power, but we do. We can exercise our power as consumers. And an example of that is the Palm here in SLOHS. And I know, you guys might be thinking, oh, you're such a hipster, you only see movies at the Palm. But I really do believe that a lot of the movies that play at the Palm are actually, you know, better than the movies you can see at the normal theater. It's also cheaper, so you can, you know, go see more movies, which, as I said, is a good thing. And a lot of the movies here are just, you know, kind of riskier and edgier, and a lot of the time that does make for a better movie. So instead of the next Transformers movie, go see an independent action movie like John Wick, which I saw last year. It's an amazing movie. It's really good. Instead of 50 Shades of Grey, I know some of you probably love it, but go see a movie like Her, a more independent love story, which I also thought was really good. And if any of you are ever wondering, if any of you are ever wanting to go see an independent movie and you don't think anyone's going to see it with you, you know, ask me. I'll probably say yes. But for the love of all things good and holy, do not ask me to see Transformers 5 with you. Thank you.